We're going to start, Nate, with a team that we talked a lot about this weekend, but again, I think it's still worth revisiting. What sort of message do you think the Buffalo Bills sent us with the draft that they had and the offseason that they had at large?
They identified that they needed ways to pivot on offense when they hit a rut with their traditional way or their untraditional way of traditionally doing things. And they went out and were like, we need to fix this and we're going to fix it. Or at least we're going to give ourselves potential to answer these fixes or these questions that we have been remaining at the end of our season in 2022. So I think how they did that was originally just in free agency. This is why it was one of the lower key free agency signings that I was excited about was the Bills. Just what they put together. Damian Harris at running back, just a different style of running back they've had the last few years. Connor McGovern, signing him as an offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman especially, and kind of a different type as well. I think he's more well-rounded. He's a better run blocker than what they've had. And also now in the draft with Dalton Kincaid and Osiris Torrance as their first two picks. I think all these signal a philosophical change. I would say full-blown philosophical change. I actually don't want to say that.
I think ability to pivot is exactly right. And I think that's what you're hinting at. And I think that's exactly what it is.
This is like the Chiefs too, what they've done the last few years. And is that it's not so much like, okay, they only run 11 personnel. You know, the Rams were able to do that a few years ago when they were clicking. But most teams, it's just that when the defense has an answer for you, or on defense, the offense has an answer for you, or is making your life hard, do you have the ability to change what you do and do it well, or at least efficiently and effectively? I think that is what the Bills are realizing. They said the spread it out way, speed is kind of hitting a rut. We don't have answers just through pure Josh Allenism or our receivers are out there. So let's get just better players overall. Doesn't matter the position, and the ability to kind of change how we go about offense when we need to. Sometimes you could just throw 102 miles an hour and it doesn't matter. The batter can't hit it. But sometimes you just got to throw off speed pitches over and over. And I think that's what the Bills are trying to do here is ability to go smash mouth football when they want to. And I think that I love that. I really do love that. It's identifying that this wasn't working completely. We're hitting a rut. We're hitting a hard point every season. This is a way to change it up and to do it. I think they are doing it in the right way.
They've tried to do it just by personnel and formations. I mean, going back 2 seasons, maybe I remember at the end of the 2021 season, we were talking about this when they were leaning into those jumbo looks a little bit more often, but it almost seemed like 3 kids in a trench coat pretending to be an adult.
That's exactly it. It was, they were doing the right answer, but it was just like, we don't really have the guys for this, even though we have to do it this way.
I can't remember the guy's name from BoJack Horseman. It's like Vincent Adultman, where Princess Caroline is dating 3 kids in a trench coat. That's what the Bills offense felt like at times. And now it seems like they're actually embracing the adult version of this.
That was just their 3 receivers. That was Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie, and Devin Singletary sitting on top of each other.
They used a decent amount of 21 personnel last year. 21. Like Reggie Gilliam is such like this weird kind of piece where how do you define it? But if you look at pure 12 personnel, the Bills used 12 personnel last year on 3.7% of their offensive snaps. It was dead last.
Yeah.
Dead last in the NFL. It was about a 5th as often as the league average. 18.1% was the league average. They were at 3.7%. Now, hilarious. I think you can make an argument based on how Dalton Kincaid develops that 12 personnel has a chance to be their best group of players this season. So that's going to take a huge uptick. I mean, Dawson Knox is somebody they spent $31 million on guaranteed. I mean, this is somebody they're invested in. He's going to be able to play in line for them and be that guy. And I think Kincaid is going to be their slot receiver first and foremost. And then they're going to live in 12 personnel, even if it's a little bit of an untraditional way to do it, way more often than they did in years past. And you combine that with Osiris Torrance being a 330-pound interior offensive lineman. Ryan Bates is their starting right guard right now. They signed him to that free agent deal last year where they matched the Bears offer to him. Ryan Bates weighs about 300 pounds.
Yes.
And I have to assume they'll battle it out in camp for this spot. When you spend a 2nd-round pick on a guard, in your mind, that guy probably wants to start for you. So it seems like you move Bates into that swing interior offensive lineman role. You have a 330-pound guy in Osiris Torrance come in and play right guard. You combine that with the 12 personnel, we're going a different direction. Where we're going, we don't need passing. And that kind of feels like the new look Bills. And I appreciate that as kind of an embrace of pivot points within your offense. How can you solve different problems? And I think that they've tried to build it this year where we have more answers to different problems, being able to run the ball consistently more often, but also just having a quick answer in the passing game, having a true slot receiver, not having to shuffle between, Khalil Shakir as a rookie, Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie kind of miscast. So I really do think they're trying to find answers they didn't have in the past, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and that I love what you're talking about with, like, even when they wanted to have a slot guy in there, even putting Stephon Diggs there, and this is statistically, Diggs is still a good player. It's just that he was a little less of a player from the slot. And so now you're kind of you're neutering him a bit. You're making him 80% as effective. And then you're also putting someone else on the field that is not as effective, just period, on the outside. So you're kind of making both things worse. And I love that you're mentioning that Kincaid is basically their slot receiver. And this is, I really look to the Chiefs and kind of having more of these two. Knox isn't a traditional Y. He's more of a shield blocker and everything. But guys, it's flexibility to change what they want to do on offense, as far as like, hey, we're going to run the ball here, or we're going to be heavy, but also just those guys are both flexible receivers, and you can move them and change things up. You can be in the same quote unquote formation, but have guys in different spots. And so I think a lot of coaches come into their opening press conference, and I'm not saying they did, but coaches, and they go, we want to be multiple on offense. The Bills are actually doing that. They're going, we can be multiple. We can actually do this stuff very well. Or the hardest thing to do to a defense is stay in the same personnel. Hopefully you can stay out of the same formation, but stay in the same personnel grouping, and you don't know what we're about to call. And so I think the Bills are going, we could just stay in the same 12 personnel. We can go up tempo. We can throttle it back, or we can even put more tight ends on the field. I know how sexy that is for everybody, but it is for me. This really gets me going, guys. But it makes their 12 personnel more dynamic, but they can realistically go 13 personnel or 22 with however you consider Gilliam. But also their other tight end that they had, Quentin Morris, played for 30% of their snaps last year. And he's more of that traditional Y. So if they want to go 13 personnel, and this is exactly what the Chiefs did to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. 13 personnel, you're matching with nickel because you were worried about Kelsey. In this case, they'd be worried about Kincaid. Well, let's just pound the freaking rock. That's why we have these bruiser guards. So now we're not just running spread zone. We're under center, just pounding away on you. Last year, the Bills didn't run 13 and 22 too much. I'm including jumbo in here. They were the second highest rate of jumbo of any team in the NFL last year, because they wanted another blocker, and just they want to go big, and that was their way to go big. They only passed about 15 times of what I'll call big personnel last year, 22 and 13. 10 of those 15 passes were successful. They're 40% running the ball, success rate running the ball of those personnel groupings, and now they got better, and they got better players to do it. So I think they're just going to lean into that identity where they're able to attack that way. And I just like it. I really do. I think they're upgrading the slot position. Last year, they're second best, most successful offense in the NFL, just behind the Chiefs. But if you just targeted the slot, they were the seventh best, which is still pretty good, but it is a drop. So it's just, they're making everything better by just kind of almost simplifying everything. And I really, really like, the identity shift that they might be taking.